Trevs Hockey Show. I'm the Trev. It's too sweet. Anyway, continuing on with retired numbers. And we're finally starting Tampa Bay. Now, I'm not going to lie. I've been working on this one for well over a year. And I just finally decided to finish it today. Call it what you want. I mean, I've been doing a lot of writing on a lot of different things, and well, we're here now. That's the important thing. But this one's a classic case of a change of scenery can do you good. And with that, we're talking about the first number retired by the Tampa Bay Lightning, that of the number 26, which belonged to Martin St. Louis. Let's talk about it. So, Martin St. Louis' career with Tampa Bay began on July 31st, 2000. After initially having the option on his contract with the Calgary Flames picked up, a change in management prompted that decision to go by the wayside. And then, after being left unprotected and ultimately unclaimed by both the Columbus Blue Jackets or the Minnesota Wild in the 2000 expansion draft, his contract with Calgary at that point would eventually get bought out, thus making him a free agent. And while a few teams did have expressed interest in retaining his services, he would sign with the Tampa Bay Lightning on the belief that he would have more of an opportunity to showcase his skill as well as get more playing time. And, well, he kind of wasn't wrong. And his debut with Tampa would come on October 6th, 2000. And initially, though, in his first season with the Lightning, would be a bit of a struggle. I mean, it took him weeks to score his first goal with the club. And at times, he found himself watching from the press box. But he did manage to come around just in time, as he managed to add 34 points to his 6 in the first few weeks of the season, to finish with 40 points in 78 games. And while the 2001-2002 season would start off strong, with St. Louis leading the team through the first 53 games, an injury would put a stop to that part, as in those 53 games, he would only put up 35 points. So there's a major sidetrack. The 2002-2003 season, however, would be a nice rebound year for both player and team alike, as the Tampa Bay Lightning won their first Southeast Division title, which in entail guaranteed them their first playoff trip since 1996. Now, St. Louis would score his first career hat trick on January 30th, 2003, against the Carolina Hurricanes, and he would also play in his first of 6 NHL All-Star games. They would finish 4th in team scoring with 70 points, including a tie for a team lead in goals with 33. And now, while the Lightning would advance past the first round of the playoffs for the first time in team history, the experience would be short, and St. Louis would lead the team in playoff points with 12 in 11 playoff games, which included 3-game winning goals, which also included the overtime winner in Game 6 of the quarterfinals, which would see the Lightning in the second round. So if 02-03 was a breakout, then the 03-04 season must have been beyond expectations. The Lightning won their second straight Southeast Division title, and Martin St. Louis had a very stellar campaign, leading the team in goals with 38, while tied for the league lead in assists with 56, and he led the league in points with 94 in a full 82-game schedule. Now, for the season St. Louis had, he won the Art Ross Trophy, which is given annually to the player who leads the league in points. He was also voted by the players for the Lester B. Pearson Award, which is MVP amongst the players. On top of that, he also won the Hart Memorial Trophy as league MVP. He also shared the NHL Plus Minus Award and was nominated to his first NHL All-Star team. Now, as for the playoffs, with Tampa being the top seed in the Eastern Conference, they made short work of the New York Islanders and the Montreal Canadiens before taking the Philadelphia Flyers to 7 games to advance to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in team history. There, they would meet the Calgary Flames in a 7-game series, which had a whole bunch of memories that you could just recall on one hand. Ultimately highlighted by St. Louis' double overtime game winner in Game 6, which forced a deciding Game 7, and also highlighted by the fact that, Tampa won their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. St. Louis would finish second in team scoring, with a career high in playoff goals with 9, assists with 15, and points with 24 in 23 playoff games. Just an interesting little side note we can add to the 03-04 season. Martin St. Louis was the first player since Wayne Gretzky in 1986-87 to win the Art Ross Hart Memorial and Stanley Cup in the same year. So there's that. And then the big one happened. So with the lockout of 04-05 in full effect, St. Louis would end up playing in Switzerland, but with the NHL return for 05-06, so did St. Louis and the Tampa Bay Lightning. And while the hope for Tampa was to build on any momentum left after the 03-04 Stanley Cup run, the Lightning would finish second in the Southeast Division. So really not riding the same wave of momentum already, with St. Louis taking a dip in his production, putting up 61 points in 80 games, while only putting up 4 assists in 5 playoff games. Now it's interesting to note for 2005-06, this is when St. Louis started his short little Ironman streak, and we will talk about it later. But the 06-07 season, however, that was a nice rebound for St. Louis, as in 82 games he would finish 5th in league scoring, 6 points behind teammates Vincent Lecavalier, who we will talk about at some point, putting up career high with 43 goals along with 59 assists for a career best 102 points. And St. Louis' season was good enough for him to get nominated to the NHL's second All-Star team for the first time in his career. The playoffs, however, well, they didn't play out for too long, as in 6 games, St. Louis had 8 points, and Tampa would make the playoffs for 3 seasons after this season. The 2007-2008 season would see St. Louis score his 500th career point on March 19th, 2008, to go along with his 83 points in 82 games. The 2008-2009 season would see St. Louis put in his first trade request, with St. Louis not happy about the direction Tampa was going in, being they had made the playoffs in 2 years past at this point. Told management prior to the NHL trade deadline. And with a full no movement clause in effect, St. Louis only had wanted to be traded to one team and one team only, and that was the New York Rangers. Now ultimately, this would not come to pass, but despite the request, St. Louis still played with class and dignity and showed that he could still be a gentleman despite requesting a trade, putting up 80 points in 82 games. 2009-2010 season would see St. Louis put on 2 separate 11-game point streaks during this season, both of which are the longest streaks in Tampa Bay history, while seeing him finish 6th in league scoring, 1 point behind teammate Steven Stamkos, who I'm sure we will be talking about at some future point, putting up 94 points in a full 82 games. The season got him another second All-Star team nomination, while his 12 penalty minutes earned him his first Lady Byng Memorial Trophy as the NHL's most gentlemanly player. Now, this was the 5th time he was nominated for that award, and the first time he's won it. So that had to be a nice thing to get off the back. 2010-11 would see St. Louis play in his 6th and final NHL All-Star game, as well as lead Tampa in scoring, while finishing 2nd in league scoring. As in 82 games, St. Louis would contribute 31 goals, a career-high 68 assists for 99 points, which was 5 behind the lead. He would be named to NHL's second All-Star team for the 3rd time in his career, while his 12 penalty minutes earned him his 2nd straight Lady Byng Memorial Trophy. He'd also be named a finalist for the Hart Memorial Trophy for the second time in his career, but he ended up losing that to Corey Perry. Now, the Lightning did make the playoffs for the first time in 3 years, making it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, before losing a hard-fought 7-game series to the eventual Stanley Cup champs in the Boston Bruins. In 18 playoff games, St. Louis would add a career best in playoff goals with 10 to go with his 10 assists for 20 playoff points. Unfortunately, though, this would be the last time the Lightning would make the playoffs with St. Louis in the lineup. The 2011-12 season would see his Ironman streak that he started back in 2005 come to a halt at 499 games due to an injury that kept him out really only for 5 games. And his streak at the time was the NHL's third longest streak at the time. But despite missing 5 games, St. Louis would put up 74 points in 77 games, and then we had another lockout. Now, while the trend of players signing in Europe during the lockout continued, St. Louis remained relatively inactive. And unlike the big one, this one only took out half the season, so we only got a 48-game schedule. And what would turn out to be St. Louis' final full season, quote-unquote full, in Tampa Bay, he'd lead the league in points with 60 in a 48-game schedule, winning his second Art Ross trophy, while his 14 penalty minutes would earn him his third Lady Byng Memorial Trophy, and he'd also be named to his 4th second NHL All-Star team. So prior to the 2013-14 season, which would be his last season in Tampa Bay, St. Louis would be named the 9th team captain in team history after Vincent Lecavallier's departure from the club in the off-season. St. Louis would go on to play his 1,000th NHL game on November 19th, 2013 against the LA Kings. Now, while he would be the 286th player to accomplish such a feat, he would be the 16th undrafted player to accomplish such a feat. He would also get his 600th career assist on January 30th, 2014 against the Ottawa Senators. It would also be during January of 2014 where St. Louis would put in his second trade request with the Tampa Bay Lightning, feeling disrespected for initially being left off the 2014 Team Canada Olympic roster, which was being put together by Tampa's general manager at the time, Steve Yzerman. St. Louis felt that as the season's leading scorer the year before, as well as his play at the time doing well, he should have at least been in consideration instead of initially being left off the team. And while he did eventually make Team Canada, being an injury fill-in for teammate Steven Stamkos, the request still stood. So much like his 2009 trade request and having the full new movement clause to make it happen, he only really wanted to play for one team and one team only, and that was the New York Rangers. Unlike his 2009 request, this one did get granted, as on March 5th, 2014, St. Louis was traded to the Rangers, along with a conditional second-round pick in the 2015 NHL entry draft for their captain in Ryan McDonough. Sorry, that was Ryan Callahan. A conditional 2014 second-round pick, which eventually got turned into a first-round pick, a 2015 first-round pick, and a 7th-round pick in 2015. Now, oddly enough, all these picks would get traded by Tampa Bay in separate deals. But after 62 games in his final campaign with Tampa, St. Louis would contribute 61 points. And that's the story of St. Louis' 13 3/4 seasons in Tampa Bay. Let's go over some stats. So 972 games with Tampa Bay. St. Louis would score 365 goals, 588 assists for 953 points. Now, that 588 assists is still a team record, and that 953 points was a team record at the time of the trade, but that eventually has since been broken. As for the playoffs, 63 playoff games with 33 goals, 35 assists, and 68 points. All told with Tampa, he played 6 NHL All-Star games, won the Hart Memorial Trophy in 2004, won 2 Art Ross trophies in 2004 and 2013, 3 Lady Byng trophies in 2010, 2011, and 2013, a Lester B. Pearson Award to go with his Hart Trophy in 2004. He shared the NHL Plus Minus Award in 2004 with Merrick Malik, Stanley Cup winner in 2004. Was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2018, but more importantly on January 17th, 2017. His number was the first number retired by the Tampa Bay Lightning. So for my own opinion of the guy, watching him hit his prime years, and being the kind of player he was, for the size he was only 5'8" off skates. You don't see too many small guys putting up 900 career points with one team, much less lasting as long as he did. I think he played another year and a quarter after his trade before he retired, but while he was playing, it was nice to see a guy as small as him, with his speed and his playmaking ability. Like, he didn't have to try hard to make a play happen. He didn't have to try hard to score a goal. A lot of times it just happened. So watch, again, a small guy with that kind of skill set. It was amazing to see. I mean, Tampa really reaped in the benefits for trading him to the Rangers. In retrospect, I mean, if you thought about it then, as you think about it now, you probably wouldn't have made the deal, but it's certainly helped out Tampa in the future. So all in all, to wrap it up nicely and neatly, it was a treat to watch a guy like St. Louis. It really was. So another one of Trev's hockey shows. Oh, thank you for tuning in. Don't think I don't appreciate the gesture, especially if you've made it to this point, which is a really cool thing. I can't tell you how much I dig it. But either way, if you like what you see, you just want to say hi, you want to let me know you're here, hit that thumbs up, that red button that says subscribe. You know you want to. I know you want to. You know how to make you feel. And you know what number we're going for. We're so close to 250. Let's make it happen. Socials are in the description down below. So as far as jersey number is concerned, I've got the next 5 I want to wrap up the year with, at least lined up. I either have to finish them or write them. I've given myself a couple easy ones. I've given myself a couple challenges. Either way, see if we can hit 40 by the end of the year. But either way, in between time, everybody here says hi.